the most expensive logo you'll ever buy is one you paid the least amount for. And that sounds sort of weird, right? But that's because all your other marketing is now not going to work as well as it could because you're working to overcome the inherent flaws in the foundation of your branding, right? So we talk about the wheel model, right? So in the center of that wheel, your marketing wheel is your logo. And then the spokes are all the things integrating that logo, your social, your web, your uniforms, your truck wraps, like all those things. And yes, you can spin that wheel if that hub isn't perfectly round, but it's going to take a hell of a lot more effort. And that just translates into a hell of a lot more money. So you can market the hell out of a really poor brand and get it to work. But the idea is I want our clients to be spending the least amount of money possible on their marketing. And the way to do that is to have a more effective brand. So Roy Williams is a great, really smart guy in the advertising world. I think the quote I have from him in the book is overspending on marketing is the tax one pays for being unremarkable, right? So just thinking about it from that perspective. And there's hundreds of really, really large companies that are overspending on their marketing because they have an unremarkable brand, right? So again, if you're a little guy in a market with big fish, how do you do something that is more remarkable and that will become more sticky than these guys that all they're doing is just banging money at a crap brand, right? And they're getting by and they're doing okay. But when you hear guys talking, hey, we're spending 10, 12%, or you need to spend 10 or 12% if you want to grow, like, I'm sorry, but I call bullshit on that, right. Because you don't need to spend that much more money if you have a better brand. Like I have guys that have gone from 2.5 to 16 million in 4.5 years on a 4% spend. So you want to tell me how the hell did they do that in a really, really competitive market? When everyone else is saying, oh, you got to spend 10%, you got to spend 12%. Well, yeah, I know why you're spending 12% because your brand is crappy.
That's a really, really compelling, those numbers you just shared, 2.5 to 16 or whatever on a few percent, 4% spend on marketing is like that. The proof is right there in the pudding. So then the flip side of this coin would be like, what are Dan Antonelli's kind of like fundamental principles for great branding? And I'm saying, you've written a couple books on this, so I realize this is a very big question I'm asking you. But if you were like in a short elevator ride with someone and you could give them, I don't know, the 4 things or the 8 things or whatever, you were just like, these are absolutely fundamental traits of great branding in home services. What are some things that you really feel are pillars of that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely think differently about it, right? So the interesting thing is that when home service owners think about branding, they think that they should be doing something that everyone else is doing because that's very comfortable to them. That makes sense to them because they could look in their environment and they could see all their biggest competitors and kind of what they're doing. And that's a very, very safe strategy. And it's a very comforting strategy if you are the owner because you see them and what they're doing. And yeah, that seems like that should work. That should make sense. But it's also really not looking at it from the right perspective. You want to think about what can you do to actually not look like what everyone else is doing in your market. And I got to say like this, that takes guts because it feels like you're doing something that's contrary to what everyone else is doing. Like it almost feels like this is wrong. This doesn't make any sense. Like I've had clients say, Dan, this brand doesn't look like it's a heating and air conditioning company. And I'm like, perfect. That's awesome. Because I don't want it to look like every other heating and air conditioning company. Otherwise, why would that consumer ever remember it? And the other thing, too, to keep in mind is so many owners want to build brands that they personally like, right? I have to love my own brand. And of course, I don't want to build a brand that you don't like, but I'm not as concerned with what you like because you're not the person buying the service. Mrs. Jones is. She's age 40 to 60. She's got 2 kids. She lives in a house. She's got a dog, whatever. That's the demographic that I care about. So you got to change the mindset as far as I got to build a brand that's all about me, right? I got to love my own brand. Well, wouldn't you rather have the people buying your services love your brand? I guarantee you, if they love your brand and the money that goes along with it, you're going to be really happy at the end of that. So like, just remember who the audience is. It's not you. You're not the audience unless you fit into that demographic. Okay. So I always try to say, remember who you're selling to, build brands that appeal to that audience. And think about the brand from something that's different. I know that was probably a really long elevator ride that we just went through, but
Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.